I had reached out to you guys to see if there was any way that we could get some footage expedited ASAP as soon as possible. I think the subject line on the email was urgent request, SOS. Yeah, so I think that the idea of being able to kind of have everything under one roof, right, was certainly appealing in an era where you need a million accounts for everything, something for this, something for this, something for this. So it's certainly nice on our end and very convenient to have, you know, the cams and the GPS under one app, one point of contact through you guys, all of that stuff. So when we were discussing adding the cameras, you guys were the natural first choice for us to reach out to. And I'm so glad that we did. But I think that we kind of just decided, you know, it just was time, right? I mean, in 2025, it's the best way you can protect yourself and your assets and your people, you know. So I think that was kind of the biggest thing. And the reality is it's not only just capturing footage of what the truck is doing on the road, right? It's also giving us the ability to, if God forbid something happens, we now have potentially some footage on our job sites that we otherwise would likely not have. So that's just added assurance for us too. It just there's potential insurance costs, so all kind of benefits, and we just felt that we were ready and that our drivers were ready. So yeah, it just felt like the right time. I would say, from my personal experience, when I have had a little bit of pushback or just resistance, um, the best thing that I found to do is meet them where they're at and make every effort to actually hear them and hear not only what they're telling you, but also try to hear what the actual resistance is or where the resistance is coming from truly, because I have learned that what they tell you their issue is and what their issue actually is can sometimes be two different things. um, so I think really taking the time to hear them and then trying to come up with creative solutions that aren't just, well, this is how it is now. You know, even if that is how it is now, I think giving them the respect of saying, like, well, let's try this, or let's move it over here, or let's, you know, uh, for an example, one of my drivers had taken issue with where it had been installed, and he had said that it would interfere with his line of vision through the windshield. I don't know that that was really his core issue. I think he just was a little uncomfortable with the idea of having the camera there. But I said, you know, I hear you. Give it just a week, and then if it's affecting your line of sight, or you have not gotten used to it and it's still, you know, jarring and in your way, then you let me know and we'll try to move it somewhere else, or see what we can do. And he never had an issue with it again after that. So I think he just wanted to hear that we would be willing to work with him, you know. So that would be my biggest piece of advice. Just listen. I would say the more impactful accidents usually happen on the highway or roadways. Um, Sometimes when our drivers are just sitting at a red light, you know, people will hit them. That's a thing that has happened, believe it or not. Um, and then there's some little property damage that takes place in our own yard sometimes, or has taken place in our own yard. I will say it hasn't really been happening much recently, and I do credit that a lot actually to our new backup cameras. I got the call saying that there had been an accident. So I was heading to the job site. When I got there, the truck driver was still where the accident had occurred, meeting with an officer to go over witness statements and everything, especially because this particular accident had been a hit and run. So while I was waiting for that driver, I had reached out to you guys to see if there was any way that we could get some footage expedited ASAP as soon as possible. I think the subject line on the email was urgent request, SOS. And you guys were so responsive. We got the video footage of the person coming from the right side of the intersection while our driver had the yellow light. They hit us at no fault of our driver and left the scene, fled the scene. So not only were we able to get that sent to me directly via email as a file within probably an hour and a half, but we also were sent a screen grab from you guys of the footage that showed the license plate number of the car that did the damage to our truck. So I was able to, once the driver arrived on the scene, he gave me the card for the police officer that he had spoken with on scene, and I was able to just email that file over to the police officer, and he was like, well, that clears things up for me, so it was just easy peasy. But he was very understandably anxious, shaken up, as you said, and frustrated, because I think, and he's one of our drivers who's a little bit older, so I think he probably forgot that he even had the camera, because when he did get to the job site, I already had the footage. I had already seen it. It was that fast. So I, went up to see if he was okay, and he starts, this is what happened, and being a little defensive, because I'm sure that's scary. You think now there's property damage to my company vehicle, and it's my word against the person who fled the scene. And I said, we saw the video. You're good. You had the yellow. You did everything right. You didn't do anything wrong. And he was just so relieved, and I think very surprised, pleasantly so. I think, aside from the situation that I mentioned earlier, there was no necessarily one specific person that was like throwing a tantrum about it. But it's just kind of the general vibe. And when I say that, it's just the hushed grumbles and the, if you know, kind of a thing. But I think it's not even necessarily one situation that shifted that vibe or that mindset. I think it was a combination of things. I think it was communication and transparency during install. And when I say that, I'm referring to, I know we had discussed this, our mechanics being the ones to do the installation, I think was huge for us, because our mechanics work so closely with our drivers, obviously, and they're in direct communication all of the time. So I think, it's easy for us to send out a memo or, tell everybody, oh, there's no audio and there's no camera on you. We promise, right? And while that is true, does everybody necessarily trust us implicitly when we say things like that? No, they're very weary of their privacy and those things, understandably. So I think for our mechanics to be the ones to be installing the units themselves and to be able to see where and which cameras are functioning and what views they're able to see, and be able to vouch to the drivers and say, yeah, no, there's only a backup camera and a front-facing dash cam. There is no in-cab camera. So it's not just coming from management, but from, the boots on the ground, who are often, more trusted, I think, when it comes to things like that, sometimes than just the powers that be. The communication and response time has been really phenomenal, especially when we really needed you guys, like I said, I put in my subject line urgent request, and I got the video footage in my email before our driver even made it back to the job site, from speaking with the police. So incredible response time, which means everything to us, and I know that the equipment itself has been really great. The clarity of the footage that I've checked out myself is really impressive. They've been very reliable. They've worked really nicely, and they, performed well when we needed them to. Also, so that was certainly great. Yes, so they have a dash screen that is installed for them, so that they can see out of their rear. But there's also options for them to see, the view from the front facing camera as well, which I also really like because I think it kind of gives them added assurance that there's not other views than that available. Um, because I do think some hesitancy, during install was, oh, is it in cab facing? Are they watching me? So I think when they can see all of the footage, all of the different screen options available, and realize that there is no in cab footage, I think that's probably reassuring for them. But yeah, the dash view is really, really great. It's super clear. I've seen it myself. It's beautiful.